She wore an old dress. Then a billionaire changed everything at 3 a.m. The clock struck 3 when the world outside grew eerily quiet. The kind of hush that made your heart pound. In the heart of the storm, a woman stood in an old, tattered dress, her frayed hem dancing in the wind like it had a story to tell. Chloe was used to being overlooked, living in her grandmother's dusty attic, sifting through memories. But tonight, the air crackled with something electric, a tension that pulled at her like gravity. There was something strange about the dress' faded floral patterns that seemed to glow under the moonlight. The fabric whispered secrets as she moved, as if it remembered her grandmother as past, wrapped in laughter and hidden tears. Chloe swirled, her heart racing with a thrill she couldn't place. This was no ordinary evening. Outside, shadows darted between trees like whispers of danger. Then it happened. A sleek black car pulled up, headlights cutting through the darkness. An engine roared to life, muffling the soft breeze that brought a sense of foreboding. The door swung open, and a figure stepped out. He was impossibly handsome, tall, with a confident stride dressed in tailored perfection. A glint of gold flashed as he pulled out something from his pocket, reflecting the moonlight with a blinding brilliance. "Where did you find that dress?" he called out, his voice deep and smooth, making her pulse race even faster. Chloe froze, a mixture of fear and curiosity flooding her senses. Could he sense the magic woven into the fabric? Did he know it belonged to someone powerful? My grandmother," she managed, her voice trembling, unsure why she felt so exposed. His eyes were mesmerizing, locked onto hers, like an anchor, while the world around them felt unmoored. Suddenly, it was as if the entire universe held its breath waiting. "Before we continue, I need to give you an important heads-up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect." His gaze softened, but the air was thick with tension. "There's more to that dress than you think," he said, taking a step closer. Chloe felt a shiver down her spine. Her heart pounded in her chest like a drum. Was he here by chance? Or was there something darker lurking beneath his polished exterior? She glanced back at the house, the attic window framing her life so simple, so ordinary. But in this moment, everything felt poised to topple. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The man smiled, a smirk that held a universe of secrets. And just like that, the night seemed to inhale deeply, ready to spill its mysteries. The silence broke with a sudden rustle, as if the wind had exhaled a breath it had been holding. The man stepped closer, his shadow stretching out like a beckoning hand. "My name is Carter," he said, warmth edging out the chill in the night air. But there was something unsettling in the way he pronounced it, like his name was a spell meant to enchant and ensnare. Carter's eyes flickered briefly to the dress again before locking back onto hers, and for a split second, Chloe felt as if he could see straight through her, right down to the churning uncertainty and fear that bubbled within. "You have no idea how important that dress is." His voice trailed off, a hint of something dark lacing his words. "What does that mean?" Panic twisted in her stomach. She couldn't shake the feeling that this was all spiraling out of her control. "You'll find out soon enough." His grin widened, revealing a perfectly charming smile that softened the air around him. But Chloe sensed the danger beneath it. Before she could respond, something glinted in his hand, a thin, golden key that sparkled like sunlight on water. "This belongs to you now," he said, extending it toward her, palm up like an offering. "Trust me, you'll need it." Chloe's pulse quickened, another swing of fear mixed with intrigue. Why would I need a key? Carter stepped back, creating a space that felt both inviting and forbidding. You're connected to a world beyond your wildest dreams, Chloe. You were chosen. Chosen for what? She asked, trying to keep the tremor out of her voice. Your grandmother was a part of something extraordinary. The dress is only the beginning. There are secrets hidden in it, seems secrets that could change everything you thought you knew about your family. What are you talking about? Chloe shook her head, unable to grasp the whirlwind of his words. Shadows seemed to inch closer, the trees creaking like ancient sentinels. Carter stepped back into the light, an unfamiliar intensity radiating off him. There are powers at play that you can't begin to understand. But I can help you unlock them. His expression shifted, a flicker of concern crossing his chiseled features. But there's a danger too, he warned, lowering his voice. Others will want that dress, and what you have with it. You need to decide, are you willing to embrace your destiny? The weight of his words pressed down on her, thickening the air around them. Chloe's mind raced. She envisioned her quiet life fading into a distant memory, replaced by something chaotic and dangerous. Without thinking, she took a step back, shaking her head. I don't want any part of this. Carter's smile dimmed, but a deeper spark ignited in his gaze, one that sent arrows of fear and anticipation racing through her veins. You can't run from it, Chloe. You may not realize it yet, but you're meant for this. Just then, a distant howl echoed through the night, sending a chill crawling up her spine. Unseen eyes, lurking just outside her circle of sight, seemed to tighten their grip on the darkness. Chloe shivered, the desire to flee growing stronger. But curiosity held her feet firm. What is this power you're talking about? Carter smiled again, a smirk laced with secrets ready to spill. You'll see tomorrow. But first you must make a choice. He took a step back toward the car, the headlights cutting through the night like a beacon. Will you stay, or will you run? The street lay before her, stretching into uncertain territory. And as the fear of the unknown clutched her heart, Chloe faced a choice that would forever alter the course of her life. Her breath hitched, her heart raced. Was she truly ready for whatever lay ahead? But the key was still glimmering in his hand, and the night felt alive with possibilities yet to be explored. What would she decide? The air crackled with tension, each passing moment pulling Chloe deeper into an unknown abyss. Thoughts danced erratically in her mind. Could she really trust Carter? Or was he just another player in a game spun from shadows? The golden key shone like a beacon of both hope and torment, a physical representation of the choice she faced. Stay or run, she murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. Her heart raced, pounding against her ribcage like a wild animal seeking escape. Carter's gaze remained warm, but piercing. You can't outrun your fate, Chloe. You'll only delay the inevitable. The night began to blur, the sound of crickets suddenly sharp in her ears. A fleeting thought crossed her mind. What if her grandmother's secrets were meant to protect her? What if they held answers to her family's tumultuous past? Chloe felt the pull towards the mysteries hidden in the dress, the ancestors who wore it, and the legacy that came with it, all deeply embedded in the very fabric of her being. If sensing her wavering resolve, Carter stepped closer again. His words were gentle, yet each syllable dripped with urgency. You don't need to understand everything right now. Just trust me. That dress, your connection, it's worth the risk. But the warning of danger echoed in her mind, a chilling reminder of what awaited her if she chose the wrong path. And these others you spoke of? What do they want? Carter's smile faltered, replaced by a serious expression. They know the power it holds, and they want to stop until they have it. You are in more danger than you realize. Chloe's stomach twisted painfully at his admission. The shadowy figures she felt lurking outside her vision weren't just figments of her imagination. They were real. Fear rippled down her spine, as the distant howl returned, more menacing this time, resonating in her chest. "Choose wisely," Carter added, his voice now laced with an intensity that felt magnetic. "Let the dress bind you to your legacy, or distance yourself from its grip and risk losing everything." As she stood there, the weight of the decision pressing down like a storm cloud, a flash of movement caught her eye. Faint silhouettes darted between the trees, their eyes glinting in the depths of the shadows. Panic surged within her. Were they here for the dress? "Chloe!" Carter reached out, his eyes wide with a mixture of concern and determination. "Listen to me. You can either stay here with me and see what this all means, or you can run into the night and leave all of this behind. Just remember, the key will always lead you back." Her breath hitched. If she chose to run, she could go back to her old life, the one that felt safe but suffocating. But if she stayed, she'd be stepping into a world filled with greatness and danger, a world where her destiny awaited. Chloe hesitated for just a moment longer, but felt the fangs of uncertainty sinking deeper into her resolve. As the howls grew louder, echoing ominously through the night, she caught a glimpse of the raw determination in Carter's eyes. Finally, she exhaled sharply, shoving down her fear. It was a decision that terrified her, but also ignited a spark of something she hadn't felt before. Something that felt like potential, power, or maybe even magic. "I'll stay," she declared, her voice steadier than she felt. "But what happens next?" Carter's grin returned, brighter and more potent than before. "You're making the right choice. The night is just beginning, and there is so much you have yet to uncover." But before he could explain further, a figure emerged from the shadows, a tall, cloaked woman with eyes like burning coals. The air chilled instantly, as if a fog of dread had settled over them. "You shouldn't have stayed, Chloe," she hissed, her voice echoing with warning. Chloe felt every hair on the back of her neck stand on end. This was just the beginning. The real threats were closer than she had imagined. What secrets lay hidden even deeper in the fabric of that dress? And who was this mysterious stranger that dared to cross their path? The night was far from over, and Chloe had so much to learn. Fear clawed at Chloe's throat as the cloaked woman stepped into the wavering glow of moonlight. She was an unsettling vision, shadowy and ethereal, the edges of her presence flickering like a candle in a storm. Her essence felt wrong, a living nightmare made flesh, igniting instincts that told Chloe to flee. Yet she stood frozen, locked in a battle between the instinct to survive and the curiosity that pulled at her. Carter moved in front of Chloe, his body tense with resolve. "You're not welcome here, Maris," he said, his voice steady but low, like an electric charge passing through the air. "Ah, the brave protector," the woman's voice dripped with mockery, her eyes flashing dangerously. "You think you can shield her from what is already unfolding? She is bound by the same thread that ensnares us all." The dress, the key. Her finger pointed to the shimmering golden object in Chloe's palm, its light pulsating like a heartbeat. "It is only a matter of time before she understands her true nature." Panic surged through Chloe's veins. What did this woman want? What true nature? "Leave us alone!" Chloe cried, her voice echoing against the dense darkness that surrounded them. But even as she spoke those words, doubt crept in like a thief in the night. Did she truly want to disarm the situation, or was she yearning to grasp the mysteries that seemed to dance just out of reach? Maris tilted her head, a smile curling on her lips that sent a chill down Chloe's spine. "That dress carries the power of your ancestors, child. And whether you wish to embrace it or not, they have chosen you." Carter's jaw clenched. "That's enough. You can't manipulate her thoughts. Chloe, focus on my voice. Trust me." But Chloe felt the weight of Maris's words pressing against her, threatening to drown her in history she never wanted to revisit. The fabric of her grandmother's dress swirled in the wind, whispering secrets of a legacy she didn't understand. No! Maris shouted suddenly, her voice rising like a storm. You think you can keep her safe? You think your protection holds any power against the forces at play? Carter stepped back, a slight unease breaking through his brave facade. The air crackled again, this time with something darker, more potent, a hint of betrayal. As if sensing her turmoil, the golden key in her hand began to warm, tingling beneath her touch. Somehow, it felt alive, thrumming with energy. Chloe's heart raced, a mix of fear and excitement mingling within her. Maris's eyes narrowed, honing in on the key like it was prey. You will come to understand, dear Chloe, that the path you've chosen is fraught with danger. This is not just about you anymore, it is about the balance of power itself. And you hold the greatest peace. Chloe shook her head, her thoughts blurring. What do you mean? Everything you thought you knew is a lie. Trust only your blood. With a flick of her wrist, darkness enveloped her, shadows writhing like smoke. Suddenly, she was gone, leaving a cold, suffocating silence that made Chloe gasp for breath. Carter turned to Chloe, his expression thunderous. We need to move. They are coming. The moment she appeared, it changed everything. But who are they? Chloe demanded, the urgency creeping into her voice. Carter's eyes held a fierce resolve. Those who seek the power of the dress. And they won't stop until they have it. Before Chloe could absorb his words, the haunting howl echoed again, louder and closer this time. A sense of dread settled into her, every part of her screaming to run. Trust me, Carter urged, reaching for her hand. If we don't act now, it could end up being too late. Chloe hesitated. Shadows closed in, and the choice was pressing once more, a crossroads forged from dark alliances and desperate actions. Would she follow Carter into the unknown, or would she succumb to the fear that tightened around her like a noose? With adrenaline thrumming through her, Chloe finally whispered, "Let us go." Together, they dashed into the night, unaware that the real game was just beginning. What awaited them in the shadows, and would the dress truly reveal the depths of her family's legacy? The true danger loomed just ahead, its grip tightening. The night closed around them, thick and ominous, as Chloe and Carter sprinted down the winding path, leaves crunching beneath their hurried steps. The air had turned icy, biting through Chloe's skin like a warning. She glanced back, half expecting to see Maris emerging from the darkness, but there was only silence. Each moment stretched as doubt gnawed at her. Was she running towards safety or deeper into danger? "Where are we going?" she gasped, her lungs burning. Carter's grip around her hand tightened. "There's a safe house not far from here. We can protect ourselves there." His voice was steady, yet a flicker of fear sparked in his eyes. "What about the dress? The key?" Chloe's heart raced as she felt the warmth pulsating against her palm, alive with an energy that felt both intoxicating and terrifying. "Trust me," Carter insisted, urgency creeping into his tone with every word. "The key is important. But the truth, Chloe, we need time to figure it out without Maris breathing down our necks." They turned a corner, the flickering streetlight casting long shadows that danced mockingly. Chloe felt the weight of the history that came with the dress heavy upon her shoulders. Her grandmother had worn it for special occasions, but what special occasion could have warranted the attention of someone like Maris? Suddenly, a rustling sound broke through their hurried breaths. Chloe's heart lurched. "Did you hear that?" "Keep moving," Carter hissed. But she could see the tension radiating from him, the way his shoulders stiffened as he turned his head, scanning the shadows. They pressed on, but the rustling became a series of quick, footfall echoes that drew nearer. Just as they reached the alley's mouth, a figure lunged out from the darkness. "Stop!" a rasping voice commanded. It was a man, his face partially masked but his eyes gleaming with an intensity that sent a chill down Chloe's spine. Carter shoved Chloe aside, positioning himself protectively in front of her. "Get back," he barked. "Who are you?" "Doesn't matter." The man sneered, advancing with predatory confidence. "I only need what she carries." Chloe's heart raced as she realized he intended to take the key. "I want he let you," she shouted, stepping forward despite the fear tightening around her. The man's eyes flickered to the dress. "You have no idea what you're holding, do you?" His voice slithered out like a serpent. "That dress is a beacon, and it will lead us right to her." "Led who?" Chloe shouted, but another booming howl echoed through the alley, this time closer, more menacing. Panic surged inside her. She looked to Carter, desperately seeking an answer. "Run!" he shouted. "I'll hold him off." Before she could respond, Carter lunged at the man, fists flying. The two figures collided, a blur of motion and rage. Chloe didn't want to leave him, but the howling grew louder, a creature drawn by the smell of fear. Chloe's instinct kicked in. She turned and ran, her heart hammering in her chest as tears of confusion stung her eyes. She hurried down an unfamiliar street, darting around corners, praying she'd find safety. As she turned to one last corner, the icy fingers of dread wrapped tightly around her. There, in the faint moonlight, stood a woman with a familiar silhouette, staring straight at her. "Maris?" Chloe whispered, the name leaving her lips like a spell. Maris smiled, dark and knowing. "You cannot escape, Chloe. Not from your past. Not from your fate." Chloe took a step back, the ground seeming to disappear beneath her, as the weight of the dress in her grip became unbearable. When was this nightmare going to end? But her thoughts froze as Maris lifted her hand, whispering ancient words that echoed through the stillness. The shadows around them writhed and pulsed as if alive. And then, without warning, Chloe felt the key in her hand explode with light, illuminating the darkness like a raging fire. "What is happening?" she cried, heart racing wildly, as she faced the woman who promised to entangle her in chaos. With a final flicker of the shadows, Maris's intentions hung in the air like a ticking bomb. The struggle had just begun, and Chloe was about to discover the truth behind the threads of her ancestry. But before she could react, the light surrounded her. In that blinding moment, the world shifted, and everything changed. What lay beyond that brilliance? Would she finally uncover the powers wrapped in her legacy? Or was she destined for a fate darker than she imagined? Light poured through Chloe's vision, enveloping her like a warm embrace before being sucked away into a chilling void. The sensation was disorienting, and she felt as if she were being stretched between two worlds, one drenched in the harshness of reality, and the other cloaked in a bewildering embrace of magic. When she finally emerged from the blinding brilliance, she wasn't in the alley anymore. The streets she stood on were cobbled and ancient, the buildings looming around her like jagged teeth. The air shimmered with a strange energy, something alive and electric. Chloe blinked, trying to comprehend her surroundings, her heart still pounding from terror. "Chloe, welcome," a silky voice broke through the silence. She spun around, eyes darting, and there stood a woman who looked like a specter from history. Her long, dark hair flowed like water, and her eyes shimmered with a knowing light. The fabric of her dress looked almost like the one Chloe was wearing, intricately woven and radiant. But this was no ordinary woman. "Who are you?" Chloe stammered, trying to shake off the fear that gripped her. The woman smiled, but it felt ominous rather than friendly. "I am Alara, a guardian of this realm. You have arrived where time bends, and reality does not hold sway as it does in your world." "Guardian?" Chloe echoed, confusion mixed with urgency. She remembered Maris's voice. "Maris seeks to exploit your connection to the past," Alara said, stepping closer. "The dress you wear, the key you carry, it is a tether to a power beyond imagination." Chloe's fingers instinctively tightened around the key nestled in her palm. "But why me? I don't understand. I just wanted to escape the chaos, not be caught in more of it. Alara's expression softened, as if she could see the turmoil inside Chloe. To understand, you must embrace your lineage. It is your birthright to wield the light, yet Maris wishes to wield it for darkness. A tremor rippled through Chloe. The weight of her family's secrets felt crushing. What am I supposed to do? Your power can mend the bridges between your world and this one, Alara said firmly. But first, you must face what Maris has unleashed, a fear beyond your comprehension. The air thickened with dread, and a shadow flickered at the edges of Chloe's vision. Her heart quickened, and she turned, dread pooling in her stomach like ice. Out of the shadows slithered figures, dark and twisted, their forms half-formed and spectral. They whispered her name, drawing closer, the sound like an echo of forgotten voices. Chloe took a step back, panic exploding in her chest. "No, I can't." Her voice quivered. "Yes, you can," Alara replied, determination hardening her gaze. "You must gather your strength. Find what lies within you and confront them. Only then can you change your fate." The figures lunged, and instinct kicked in. Chloe raised her hand, the key pulsing bright. With a surge of instinct, she shouted, "I want to let you take me." In that moment, the key flared with light, casting a warm glow that pushed the dark figures back. They hissed, recoiling from the radiance. Chloe felt a new energy coursing through her, stronger than the fear that had once held her hostage. "Let it guide you, Chloe. Remember who you are?" Alara urged, her voice urging her to focus. As the glow expanded, the dark figures shuddered and shrank, but something behind them stirred, a larger shadow, monstrous and commanding. It loomed, dark as midnight, urging them forward anew. Chloe's breath caught. "What now?" Alara's expression sharpened. "Now you need to fight, but also discover the strength hidden in your ancestry. Your true self is about to awaken, but only if you face this darkness head-on." The ground beneath her trembled as she faced the monstrous silhouette, her heart pounding with adrenaline. Would she break through and unleash the light, or be swallowed by the shadows threatening to consume her? Before she could take a step, the enormous shadow lunged forward, and everything around her faded to dark. What happened next would determine not only her fate but that of countless others. Would she embrace her power, or would she allow the darkness to thrive? The darkness swallowed Chloe whole, a suffocating blanket that pressed against her from all sides. Her heart raced as she braced for the impact, her thoughts spiraling into chaos. Would she ever see the light again? Then, a spark ignited within her, the warmth of the key radiating through the shadows. As the darkness swirled around, she clenched her fist, feeling the weight of her lineage pressing against her. The more she focused on the light, the more she understood. This wasn't mere magic. It was her birthright. And with that realization, the ground beneath her shifted. It wasn't just a surface anymore. It felt alive, pulsing, vibrating with energy. The air crackled, as if the very fabric of the universe was waiting to see what she would do next. "Chloe!" Alara's voice echoed in her mind, laced with urgency. "Let the light guide you. Your power is within reach." Chloe took a deep breath, letting the warmth of the key consume the fear that had threatened to paralyze her. With a surge of newfound strength, she pushed against the darkness. For a moment, there was nothing but silence, a quiet that felt like a pause in time. Then, she shouted, her voice reverberating with conviction, "I will not be afraid." Light exploded from her outstretched hand, a brilliant burst illuminating her surroundings. The shadowy figures shrieked and recoiled, contorting as they battled against the brilliance emanating from her. Chloe gasped as she realized that the shadows were no mere specters, but manifestations of her own fear. Each figure inched closer, their distorted faces frozen in expressionless horror. In their presence, Chloe confronted not only what lurked in the depths of her mind, but the weight of her family's legacy, the pain, the struggles, the darkness that had been passed down like a curse. "No more," she cried out, using all her will to push forward. The light flared, sending shockwaves of energy shooting through the twisted figures. The ground rumbled violently beneath her feet, and the shadows began to disintegrate, their forms dissolving like mist in sunlight. But at the very back of the mass, a larger silhouette remained. It loomed, obstructing her escape, dark and cruel. With every ounce of courage she could muster, Chloe faced the monstrous figure, her heart racing wildly. "What do you want from me?" she demanded, not an ounce of fear in her voice now. "Your essence. Your light," the shadow snarled, its voice a chilling echo that sent shivers down her spine. It lunged forward, the very embodiment of her darkest thoughts. But Chloe held onto the key, feeling warmth bloom in her palm. "I will fight for my light," she vowed, feeling the dance of energy surround her. As the shadow rushed toward her, time slowed. Chloe felt the pulse of the key syncing with the rhythm of her heart, every beat igniting the light within her even more fiercely. This wasn't just about her. It was about every soul it had ever tormented. She cast her arm out, the light erupting from her fingertips, embracing the monstrous form. It gnashed its teeth, writhing and stretching as if the light was pulling it apart. Suddenly, the ground beneath her opened up, a swirling vortex of chaos threatening to consume everything. Chloe stumbled back, lustrous energy flickering weakly. "Alara, what do I do?" But then, from the depths of her heart, she recalled Alara's words. "Embrace your lineage." A surge of strength flooded her body, anchoring her to the ground as the vortex spun wildly around her. Before she understood what was happening, she felt the key vibrate fiercely, and the air around her trembled with power. She had to summon the core of her strength, to transcend the fears that shackled her. With a sudden rush of clarity, she whispered, "I am not afraid." The darkness roared, but Chloe stood firm, light flickering from the key, ready to spill into the abyss of fear that lay before her. Then, the truth hit like a lightning bolt. If she wanted to win, she had to not only push against the darkness, but become one with it. Could she really face what had haunted her for so long? With a deep breath, she prepared to unleash her light into the depths of the shadow, her heart pounding with both uncertainty and daring hope. What awaited her in that swirling chaos? Would she finally emerge whole, or was she risking everything in the face of her darkest fears? Chloe steadied herself as the darkness churned around her. The swirling vortex roared with fury, the sound a cacophony of her own anxieties. She felt the key vibrate, its pulse matching the frantic beat of her heart. This was her moment. She had to step into the eye of the storm, not just face it. Taking a deep breath, she focused on the warmth within her palm and closed her eyes, envisioning the radiant light that was her birthright flooding through her. With a fierce snarl, the monstrous figure lunged, a mass of undulating shadows, sharp edges, and dreadful hunger. Chloe opened her eyes, now gleaming with determination. "I am more than my fears." She hurled toward the creature, the words echoing in the void. A blinding flash erupted from the key, illuminating her surroundings with a fierce glow. The light danced like wildfire, engulfing her and spiraling outward. As it struck the shadow, it twisted and screamed, revealing shimmering fragments of its true self, a collection of her past failures, lost dreams, and heartaches. Each tormenting memory turned to ash before her eyes, but still, the larger silhouette pushed back. "Your light is weak," it hissed, its voice like shards of glass. "No, it's not," Chloe screamed defiantly. "It's my power." She imagined every moment of joy in her life, every laugh shared, every boundless dream. With renewed vigor, she thrust her hand forward, sending out a wave of light so strong it felt like a physical force. The darkness writhed in agony as the very specters of her anguish exploded into shimmering particles. But the brutal reality pierced her heart once more. The larger shadow loomed closer, a reminder of the weight she still carried. It wasn't just a shadow. It was the essence of every pain she'd ever endured, the pain that had kept her stagnant, scared, and ashamed. Chloe staggered back as a deep despair washed over her. What if I am not enough? The question hung heavy in the air, threatening to anchor her into the abyss. Remember, Chloe, you are not alone, Alara's voice echoed with authority and warmth. You are the light bearer of your lineage. Embrace it. Drawing on Alara's strength, Chloe channeled every ounce of love for her family, her friends, and the moment that had brought her joy. The golden light intensified, filling every crevice of her being. I am enough, she shouted, feeling the key blaze nearly out of control in her palm. In that moment of pure certainty, the air around her ignited, forming a protective sphere of shimmering brilliance. It clashed against the dark figure like a mighty shield. Then, with a roar, Chloe leapt forward, merging with the light surrounding her. The intense warmth enveloped her, drawing her deeper into the chaos, until she was both a part of it and beyond it. Suddenly, the darkness fractured. Cracks appeared, spilling precious light into the void. The monstrous silhouette howled, its form disintegrating until only a flurry of shadows lingered, cowering away from the brilliance. Now! Finish it! Alara urged, the urgency in her voice ringing like a war cry. Chloe gathered herself, feeling the power surge through her once more. She thrust her entire being forward, letting the light blaze fiercely from her core as she directed all of it toward the shadows, a blazing wave that connected her heart to every whispering fear that had once shamed her. In an eruption of blinding energy, the sheer force of her light shattered the last remnants of darkness. For a moment, the world stood silent, suspended in the brilliance until it faded away, leaving only an empty void. Chloe fell to her knees, breathless and trembling. Had she truly faced the dark? Was it truly gone? As she looked around, the silence felt deafening, and apprehension gripped her heart. Then, a new figure emerged from the shadows, someone unexpected. Someone significant. Welcome back, Chloe. The voice sent shivers down her spine, a mix of recognition and dread. We need to talk. What had she unleashed? And what did this presence mean for her future? Chloe's heart raced as the familiar voice pulled her from her haze. So much had changed, yet hearing it again felt like ice water coursing through her veins. She forced herself to look up at the figure stepping forward, squinting against the fading light that still buzzed around her. A silhouette emerged from the shadows, tall and imposing, cloaked in an aura that felt both sinister and strangely comforting. It was neither fully familiar nor entirely alien. Liam? She whispered, the name escaping her lips like a long-buried secret. The figure stepped closer, his features sharpening in the illumination of her lingering glow. The piercing blue eyes, like shards of ice, were unmistakable. You've come a long way, he said, a wry smile dancing across his lips. But there's still so much you don't understand. Liam, I thought you were. She couldn't find the words, her thoughts colliding in a chaotic whirlwind. The shadows had screened her fears, but his presence brought an entirely different weight, one of suppressed memories and unresolved feelings. I was gone, Chloe. I had to be. But leaving didn't mean I abandoned you. He took another step forward, the air around him crackling with electricity that dulled the golden light. Listen, what you just faced, it's just the beginning. Chloe's gut twisted with tension. What do you mean? I thought defeating the darkness was the end. The earlier triumph felt hollow now, overwhelmed by confusion and an unsettling feeling of dread creeping back into her veins. Liam shook his head, his expression darkening. That wasn't just a shadow. It was a fragment of something bigger, an entity that thrives on fear and pain. You only scratched the surface. How can that be? She felt the weight of his words pressing down on her. I gave everything. Exactly. And now it's targeting you even more fiercely, he pointed out, his voice lower roar. It knows you're a threat to its existence. You've felt it, Haven you. The whispers creeping back in? He was right. A chill ran down her spine, memories of hesitation and insecurity flooding back like a storm. Chloe gripped the key tighter, its warmth pulsing reassuringly against her palm, though it felt as though the comfort might wane. I thought I would be free, she stammered, frustration bubbling up inside. Freedom comes at a cost, he said simply, his gaze steady. And you're not alone in this. You have allies, but you need to find them. We need to rekindle the connections, strengthen our defenses because the darkness has plans, and it won't stop until it gets what it wants. Ally? Who are you talking about? The confusion bubbled into suspicion as she studied his face. The Liam she once knew had been bright, unyielding now. He seemed haunted, overshadowed by the same fears she had just battled. The community, Chloe, he said, urgency filling his voice. I'll guide you. I know you're strong enough, but you'll need to gather the others. They're out there, lost and waiting for a leader to rise. She felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders, heavy like iron chains. But no more hesitating. Liam interrupted sharply, his gaze fierce. You've already defeated part of the darkness, but there's more to come. We need to be prepared. Tomorrow will be your first chance to seek them out. Chloe's heart thudded, each beat echoing with the gravity of it all. Tomorrow? What if she faltered, fear creeping in? What if you fail? He echoed softly, stepping forward again, his warmth seeping into her. What if you succeed? You owe it to yourself to find that out. In that moment, something clicked inside her. Resolved, she pulled back her shoulders. Okay, I'm ready. But as the shadows flickered, deep in the recesses of the void behind Liam, something stirred. Chloe's breath caught in her throat, as an unsettling presence loomed just beyond her line of sight, a whisper of familiarity, colder than any night. Then prepare for the storm, Liam warned, his eyes narrowing as he turned. Because it's coming, and it won't stop until it takes everything you love. With a final glance over his shoulder, he stepped into the shadows, leaving her with a daunting task and one lingering thought. What would the darkness do next? Chloe could hardly process everything that had just happened. It felt like a jolting ride through a horror movie. One moment, she was standing in a dark alley, and the next, she was thrust into a battle for her existence, her family's legacy unfolding before her like a complex tapestry woven through time. Now, as the stagnant awareness slipped back into the room, her world consumed her thoughts, blending light and dark in a swirl of confusion and a newfound resolve. The glow from the keys still pulsated gently in her hand, a beacon in her uncertain future. Tremors of fear tangled with a fierce determination swelling within her chest. She had faced the dark shadow, had rejected its hold, and thrust back into the void. Somehow, that victory flickered like a candle, burning through the mists of doubt. Yet, it dawned on her that this was just one battle. The thought echoed in her mind. The darkness was persistent. It knew her name, her vulnerabilities, and every scar woven into her soul like a morbid tapestry. I want to let it win, she murmured, the echo of her resolve filling the space, increasing her courage. Taking a deep breath, she steadied herself, channeling the strength of her ancestors, the whispers that had guided her before. I have to prepare. I have to gather them. As the thought raced through her, images of allies started to fill her mind, faces she hardly knew, yet somehow felt a visceral connection to. There were whispers of a community waiting to rise, a collective strength she had never tapped into before. When dawn broke, golden light poured through her window, chasing away the shadows that had clung to the night. Chloe felt the warmth of the sun as if it were kissing her fears away. She dressed in the old tattered dress that had set everything in motion. The fabric felt different now, brimming with purpose and heritage. It was a mantle to bear, Armed with her key, she ventured out into the world, ready to face every quagmire that lay before her. She had to start somewhere, and every step felt like a revelation. As she approached the local library, the familiar structure seemed imbued with a newfound glow. Its stones held secrets, histories trapped in the pages she longed to explore. Once inside, browsing through the shelves, she felt the pulse of the library enveloping her as she ran her fingers along the spines. It garlanded a sense of solace amid the chaos. And then she paused, her breath catching as she spotted a glimmer of gold along the spines of several ancient texts. That familiar warmth pulled her closer, leading her to secrets written by those who had traversed darkness before. Hours slipped by like water through her fingers. Words upon words of spells, legacies, and protective charms filled her mind with a newfound focus. She was not burdened by the past but charged by it, fueled with the knowledge that her ancestors had fought their battles. As she moved from shelf to shelf, a group of eager faces caught her attention. A mix of unease and recognition rushed over her. They were like her, searching, disillusioned, but ready. "Are you Chloe?" a girl with a determined gaze asked, stepping forward with palpable energy. Chloe nodded, her heart racing. "Yes. We've heard about the dress, about the darkness." "We need you," spoke another, a sentiment agreed upon by the chorus of young faces around her. Chloe felt the gravity of those words sink in. "I need you too." Together, they formed a circle, realm against realm, past against future. The air around them thickened with emotion as they shared their stories. Chloe explained her legacy, the darkness that followed her, and the choices they faced ahead. And as she spoke, the echoes of hope and fear melded into a single narrative of determination. With newfound partnerships binding them, they resolved to fight. They would not be easy prey for the darkness that lingered like a storm cloud waiting to strike again. Chloe felt energy leap in the room, a bond forged by purpose and strength. They were a family of sorts, woven together not by blood but by the calling of something greater than themselves. It was time to reclaim her narrative. It was time to shine. As twilight embraced the world outside, Chloe and her newfound allies committed to taking back the night to challenge the darkness that threatened them. "Tomorrow," she declared, squeezing the golden key tightly in her palm for strength. "We are the light, and together we fight." As the sun dipped below the horizon, Chloe felt the deepest stirrings of power inside her, a reminder that sometimes the only way to face darkness was to stand in the light, surrounded by those who believe. And pushing the boundaries of fear became their confiding strength. The real battle was about to begin, but she knew they would meet it together. Don't forget, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now, so you don't miss any of the exclusive content coming your way. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and help spread the word. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about what is next for Chloe and the crew. And don't wait even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who absolutely need to see the story unfold. Let us stand strong together.